All I had in front of me was hope, but at the same time, um, I wasn't in a good situation. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything. I wanted to upgrade my computer, and my dad was like, "I'm not gonna buy a computer for you." When I got paid $100, he saw that I'm making money, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna do it." I realized if I get into this, I have a chance to gain my freedom. That changed my life. That brought a lot of attention to my portfolio. I got emails for work. I was making like 15K a month, and I started talking to Hideo Kojima, for example.
I am so jealous.
If you focus on working for a company, you'll get a job. You'll forget why you started doing what you're doing, because that company can destroy your passion, and then you don't have a reason to continue that.
To touch upon AI, you have voiced your concern.
I think over the next 10, 15 years, we won't have a job. The way that you can become successful, you just have to.
I sat down with one of the top 3D character artists, Siamak Roshani. He has worked on the Callisto Protocol, Ghost of Tsushima, and Call of Duty World War II, just to name a few titles. It was a difficult journey for him to pierce into the video game industry as he had to transition from Iran to the US. And as he said, he had nothing but $800 to his name, so it was really important for me to understand his earliest context and how he managed to overcome these difficulties. We talk about his portfolio and courses. We go deep into AI and how it might affect the industry today and in the future. And we discussed how integrating sports into his everyday life has completely changed his workflow. This is a very interesting episode. And with that said, let's uncover Siamak's story. Siamak, to fully understand you, I believe it is quite crucial to understand your context and what has shaped you to become you today. And the reason I say this is because you often mention that your transition from Iran to the US was not necessarily an easy one. Um,
Mhm.
you mentioned you arrived to the US with nothing but $800 to your name. Your parents were a little upset. Your friends didn't quite know what you were doing, but you had a dream. And here you are
Yep.
today, one of the top character artists in the industry. And I kind of would like to start our conversation with that and with that story. So, what is that early context that has shaped you, basically?
Where do I start? Yeah, first of all, you said one of the top artists, character artists. I don't look at myself that way, honestly.
Okay.
Um, Maybe I looked at myself like that in the past, not anymore. Because as you grow, you change. You see I see the world in a different way than I used to see it. I don't know, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, but I appreciate it. The thing is, industry is like growing, and there are so many good artists and developers out there that are performing on a much better level. For me, it was different because I had to, like you said, coming from Iran and then eventually ending up in the US. I had to figure out a way to pave the way for my future, if that makes sense. For if you call
Exactly.
it success, because I don't feel like I'm successful yet. To many, yes, I am, but then I have dreams and other visions that I haven't achieved yet, if that makes sense. So I'm basically pretty much in the second half of life trying to fight to get to those areas. But then as I mature or grow older, I see values in other things besides success the way people see it. Majority, money and fame or working on this project or that project or things like that, if that makes sense.
The usual. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, when I was trying to come here or basically achieve the things I wanted to achieve in life, my goal was obviously number one was to move out of Iran, because the situation in Iran, everybody knows what's happening. It's getting worse
Hmm.
now with all the wars around in the Middle East. And
Yeah.
20 years ago, I could see that coming. As you live in a society, you see the changes, and I could see that. And my number one priority was to move out. But before that, before I move out, I had when I got familiar with the game industry, playing games or seeing movies, CGI movies, visual effects, things like that. that kind of attracted me to that world, because I felt like it's a world that I can create, and it's different than what I live in, if you know what I mean.
I got it. Absolutely.
So that pushed me to fight and just focus on what I enjoyed working on and dreaming for myself. And money wasn't part of it at all, or working for bigger studios. It wasn't that the thing, you know. My focus was at the time was just to basically do art or make characters or learn. I was even not just the characters. I was doing 3D modeling cars, whatever I could, you know, because I was enjoying that process of making stuff. And now, as I get older, I just see that that's the way to success. The success that people call success. The way to get there, in my opinion, honestly, is passion and focusing on what you enjoy without thinking about anything. You have to be deep in
Right.
it
Right.
and really focus on. You don't even know it. It's not like, "Oh, I want to focus on this and become successful." It's not how that works. It is basically you just do it and you have no idea what you're doing, but you're in love with what you're doing and you're passionate, and you just keep going, and then your life changes incrementally, like step by step. You get a new job, you get a new freelance work, you move to another country, you get to the second job, your resume starts growing, you get more demands, you learn more softwares, and then you get better at modeling. Then you're like, okay, I want to learn how to use Marvelous Designer, now learn how to do texturing, now learn how to use Unreal Engine. As you accumulate knowledge and just get better, your life gets better and you're focused on what you do. The only thing actually I would say is, as I get older, I just see that. At the time I couldn't see it. I was deep in it, but I couldn't I couldn't analyze it to understand where this is taking me. All I had in front of me was hope, but at the same time, um I wasn't in a good situation. I didn't have money. I didn't have anything. I got married at 23, just me and my wife. She's everything to me now, her and my daughter. As I got older, I just realized this is the way that you can actually become successful. You just have to focus on your thing. And there are so many examples now because of internet. We have access to those examples. Mr. Beast is one of them. If you watch
Hmm.
his videos,
Of course, yeah.
he was obsessed with everything he does, right? And he was just focused. He just wanted
Right.
to do that. And the focus doesn't come with like, it's not like you want to focus. It's not like you want to push the focus. It is what you want to do. Like playing games. Do you focus when you play games? You just get into it and you play games. Or
Yeah.
when you play football, do you focus to play football? You're enjoying the process, right? It just happens. A lot of the new generation, they're making a mistake. They're just thinking about, I enjoy playing games. I want to make a game. I want to work for a company. They're focusing on the wrong thing. Their goal is not correct. And I always tell people, if you focus on working for a company, you'll get a job, you'll work for a company, you'll get distracted. Slowly you'll forget why you started doing what you're doing, and you're not gonna be stay as passionate as you were about your job, because that company or the next company or the next company can destroy your passion, and then you don't have a reason to continue that. A very good example of a successful person in this is a friend of mine, Hossein Diba. He moved to US in 2016. He moved back to Turkey again. He's very successful. He's very well known, doing great work, and he just keeps going. But he never worked full time in any company, if that makes
Interesting.
sense. I'm not saying full time is bad, but there is like, the reason that you do something shouldn't be just for a corporate job. That's a mistake.
So what you're saying is follow your passion, and then life will catch up to that and lead you to where you have to be at the end.
Yeah, and sometimes I actually feel like universe is deciding for you. Like there's a magic in life, as if things are written in the past. Because when I look at my life, all the steps that I went through after 10 years, 15 years, when I check back and I'm like, wow, if this didn't happen, this wouldn't happen. And this thing that I thought is good didn't happen because this other good thing was supposed to happen.
Right.
Things
Right.
connect together properly. And I don't know what to call it. It sounds like a simulation, honestly. Like Elon Musk says, it's a simulation.
There's higher chances that we are in a simulation.
Yeah,
That's true.
there's a chance.
That's wonderful. Honestly, that's, I would say, a really wise answer, and definitely something that a lot of people should probably listen to, because I think following what's in your heart really could dictate a successful path for yourself, I started a bit in the wrong way, and then later in life, I realized perhaps that I should have continued thinking like I did when I was a little younger. My question would be actually the one that I'm quite interested in is how did you manage to um, push through with your parents? Because I know that they were kind of a bit skeptical with what you were doing.
I just said no. That's how I managed
Okay.
it. Like I fought it back. Not to say I don't like my parents. I love my parents. You know, they're getting
Absolutely, yeah.
old, and obviously, and I haven't. I mean, everybody loves their parent. There's no question about that. But this is the challenge people are facing in the Middle East. Well, there's good and bad, right? The positive side is you have that deep connection in the family, which doesn't exist in many other places in the world,
I agree, yeah.
right? That I mean, things are simpler. People are not as materialistic. It's hard to say, honestly. I mean, I just said no, right? I mean, I didn't do the things that I didn't wanted to do. I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. So I pushed back. It's not. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Like in the Middle East, you can be 24, and your mom can tell you,
Yeah.
"Don't do this, don't do that."
Yeah. I totally
I mean,
understand that.
it's not. It's not. People think it's because they're respectful to their parents. It's not like they're weak or anything like that. That there's a deep connection in the family that you're never disconnected in a way. But then when I was 18, I looked at myself and I was like, this is the only thing I want to do, and I want to push, and I want to move out. I want to go where I want to go. Otherwise, what's the point of living? Yeah, it was just that, and I was lucky too, man. Like getting a job, moving out, trying multiple times until it
Determined as
worked.
well, I think, also would be a correct way to put it. You came with a mission, with a plan, with a determination, and you
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah, obviously. It's not always you got to be lucky too, right? You have to be born in the right situation, right time. When I started using ZBrush, that was the beginning of the application basically. So it was easier to impress people with work at that time because there wasn't so many fancy characters with a lot of details. So whatever you did in ZBrush would catch up, and everybody would like, "Wow, how did you do this?" Because not many people were using ZBrush in 2004, 2005. So that's another thing if you think about it. There's the luck factor.
For sure, definitely, yeah. But all in all, it's really interesting to hear your side of things and how you managed to kind
Sure,
of,
of course.
let's say, pave your way. To follow up with that question, you also mentioned in a few of your podcasts, here and there, that growing up as a kid, you were not only interested in art, but you were also very interested in various sports. You
Yeah.
mentioned football, you mentioned swimming, if I'm correct, and a few others. What
Yes.
exactly steered you away from sports and towards art? Because from what I understand, you were quite interested in
I'm
the
still
sports
doing
that you were
sports
doing.
now. Actually,
Yes, and
yeah,
we're
I
going to
went
speak
back to
about
it
that.
again. Yeah, yeah. So what happened is I had asthma, childhood asthma, and when I was 18, when it pretty much, if you want to end up in a football team or become a martial artist or something, you have to start at a young age, 6, 7, 8. That's how you anything, any field, you have to start as a young person. I was a good problem solver. At the same time, I was good at the sports. But then because of the physical limitations of because I had asthma, I
Right.
don't have it anymore. At the time I had it, and it prevented me from following that. The other thing actually caught me is when I played games. The first game I played, I was 6 or 7, if I remember, something like that. Very young age in 1990, 1991, something like that. I was impressed, and then I saw like when I was 12 years old. When was it? I don't remember exactly. Um, Lord of the Ring, movies like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
At the young age, I was impressed, and before that I was good at drawing at a school, drawing cartoons or whatever
Yeah.
we did with the class. So I had that ambition as well, like doing art. But honestly, I don't know if I'm an artist or if I'm it's kind of confusing now for me because I like doing art, I like exploring stuff, I like sports, I like technology, I like sound. For example, I started playing piano at some point.
Awesome, man. Wow.
That's one of the issues. Yeah, that's one of the issues I have in life. It doesn't allow me to get better at everything because I have to work. If I didn't work, I would probably spend like a couple of hours on each one of these activities every day. Like like CG, music, sports, and work with camera maybe.
Oh, that's
Those
interesting as
those are
well,
my
huh?
interests. Yeah, yeah, and I'm into firearms too, by the way. Like I like
Oh,
firearms.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that about you. So you mean you go out into
I
the
have
firing
firearms.
ranges? Cool,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah. I have
What's your
firearms.
favorite?
I go
What's your
to the
favorite?
all of them.
All of them?
Anything, yeah, because it's fascinating.
Nice.
I mean, it's not. It's just fun. I like to
Yeah,
do
just
that.
a hobby.
But
That's really nice.
yeah, it's a hobby. But then from sports to art, because I played games and I was impressed with playing games and then seeing movies and stuff. I was interested in doing that kind of thing. And I like computers, like I said, technology. And I was like, wow, this is what you can do if you buy a computer. And that kind of pushed me. And I pushed my parents to buy a computer for me when I was 15. And my mom told me, if you get a good grade at a school, I'm going to
Yeah.
buy you a computer. The problem with the school was I didn't study at all. Like I was just going to the class and coming home and playing sports or
Right.
playing games, whatever, other things. But I wasn't getting good grades. I was just getting enough grades to pass. And I
Right.
don't like the school system. I still don't like the school system. It didn't teach me anything
Oh, I agree with
except I
you.
just got a degree basically because it's outdated. Yeah. So because of that promise from my mom, I was like, all right, I'm gonna get a good grade and I'm gonna have a computer. So I did everything. And when you're young, you have this huge ambition and you just want to get your dreams, right? When you're 16, 15. That actually helped me. And when I got it, I didn't know there is a software called 3D Max or Maya. When I got the computer at the time, they had crack softwares in Iran. Obviously, they still have it, right? I mean, it's the reality of life at and for the third world countries. And there was this software called 3D Max. And I'm like, what the hell is this? I opened it and I didn't know what's going on. And I saw I can draw pots and, you know, boxes and cylinders. And I was fascinated by it because it was I could do something, draw in a computer. That's weird. And then as I went forward, I just, was more interested to learn what it is. That caught my attention. And then I realized when I play games with my computer, those games are made with these applications with programmings and and 3D softwares and so on. And because of that, I was, I kind of got involved in it, and I researched and started learning. I don't know what happened actually. That's what I'm talking about when I say if you're passionate, you just don't know,
Yeah.
you just do it.
You just do it.
And I
Yeah.
just went
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened basically.
It's really fascinating also how that you're self-taught like that.
Yeah, yeah. And well, with the internet, you have a lot of free information, right? You can just get anything you want from Google or Insta, or right now everywhere, Instagram, Google,
Yeah.
Facebook. At the time, I think I got my first internet. Well, we got dial-up. That helped a little bit. Yeah. After
Just a
that, I
little
got
bit.
DSL. But then in
Hmm.
2004, that was the time I actually got a little bit better with CG, and I got a job with a guy from he was actually starting a company, and we are friends right now. And his company grew. He's multi-millionaire, so much money,
Wow.
and I'm not even close to him. Yeah. So when he started, he messaged me. I was like,
Not
"Hey,
yet.
you wanna?" Yeah. Well, we'll see. Time will show. But yeah, that's interesting because he didn't know anything about CG, but he wanted to start a business. At the time, Iran wasn't sanctioned like this. So I did a job for him and I got paid $100. And I wanted to upgrade my computer. And my dad was like, I'm not going to buy a computer for you because every year, every 2 years, you need a computer. This is like 3, 4 years later, right? This was going to be my third computer because, as we know, hardware gets old.
Of course, yeah.
And yeah, and then when I got paid $100, he saw that I'm making money and he was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Oh,
And you're going to
nice.
pay for it. Yeah. He bought it, and there was a lot of disaster on that because that computer had a lot of issues. And I got into a fight with the guy who sold it to me because I felt like all my dreams are shattered now that this guy
Oh my
sold me a
god.
broken machine.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
yeah, I have stories on that. Yeah, and then after 6 months of going back and forth, finally I forced him to change the motherboard and GPU, and that fixed the issue. So this is the whole story, right? But then the main reason that I kept doing this was because I couldn't play sports because of my asthma. At the same time, I realized if I do this, I have a chance of getting my freedom.
Hmm. Exactly, yeah.
Being born in like leaving the country, and I saw the opportunities. And 2000 was the dot-com bubble basically when market crashed in the US. And then 2001, war happened in the Middle East and all that. But then after that, the tech was growing, and we could see it every day. Well, there was a new tech, and I realized if I get into this, I have a chance to gain my freedom, and I
Oh,
was
that's
right
awesome.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spot on. Absolutely.
yeah. I mean, if I went into a sports, maybe I would get something. Maybe I would go somewhere. But who knows? Maybe I wouldn't end up here. Maybe I would end up in Europe, or maybe I would become super rich because football play pays a lot.
Maybe, but I think you chose the right decision. We're looking at your work, at your characters, and also at your story. I think it's just absolutely wonderful. I think, you know,
I could do a lot more, honestly, dude. Like the mistake I made, I got distracted a lot. I could do a lot more, and I look at my resume and my work basically, and I when I look at the past, I criticize myself because I was like, I'm like, why I didn't do this? Why I didn't work more on this? Why I kept criticizing myself and not work on what mattered, And working full time also. Honestly, if I go back, even though I don't regret the decisions I made, I would probably try doing it in a different way. Like in 2015, I would probably not work for any company, and I would just focus on my passion, if that makes sense. Because my vision was like, if I work for these companies, I'm gonna make some awesome characters, some good game, And that didn't happen really, except 1 or 2 games, and that's it. And it was mostly like a lot of stress, a lot of torture, if you know what I mean. Yeah, you don't find that ambition with everybody in the industry. They might claim they're passionate about it, but the reality is, from what I'm seeing, a lot of people just come into it because of money, because of other things.
yeah, that's interesting the way you put it. Honestly speaking, but hey, I want to finish the question on a good note, and I think your work is truly awesome, and probably one of the
Oh,
reasons
thanks,
I'm
man.
contacting you is because I see what you do, and I see that
Why
the
do you
games
think
that
my
you
work is
worked with.
awesome? What
I
makes you think that way?
Well, the thing is, first of all, it's the big companies that you're working on. That's one, and the second of all is the story, which I really want to get into, and more specifically, for example, about the Mafia Man, right? That's a wonderful story, and I look at that piece of work. That's not something that was done in a team. That was something done by you, practically
Yeah,
from
that
A to
changed my
Z.
life, actually.
Exactly, and I want to get into that a little bit later. And it's work like that. The more I speak to character artists, the more I understand the depths and the difficulty that 3D art really kind of entails, and the more respect I have. So when I see kind of your work, I say, hey, you know what, this is legit, this is very nice.
Thank you.
So to segue to my next question, it's something that we talked about, I think, really briefly, and that I'm quite interested in. Is that you mentioned that you transitioned into 3D from traditional art. However, what's interesting for me is that you mentioned that you managed to learn the principles of art in ZBrush. So after you got your computer and after you just started
Yes.
kind of working in it all by yourself, but having the prior knowledge of traditional art has kind of helped you along your way through your 3D journey.
I
Um,
mean, I'm not necessarily I wasn't a traditional artist really, except what I did at the young age, just drawing whatever I could. I learned anatomy, the concept of anatomy. I learned it because of ZBrush, honestly.
mhm. So
So that
in the
came in.
application, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then that pushed me to be interested in sculpting. But then back then, when I was in Iran, sculpting by hand, I could never find the tools that I saw in the tutorials. You buy this clay, you buy these tools. It didn't exist in Iran, which is kind of weird because it's just clay. So that's something I just worked with. It was a good mixture of technology and art, which is what I like, and that you know ZBrush gave me that.
Understood. So yeah,
Yeah, I just wanted to give you more context on that, basically.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely, and that makes perfect sense. And like you mentioned, ZBrush back then was not really super popular. And kind of my
Yeah,
question would be: young artists today could actually start their whole career or their art journey just with ZBrush without
yeah,
having
they
any
can.
past traditional art, knowledge or experience. What are your thoughts on that, and how important do you think traditional art is when relating it to 3D art as well?
So here's the thing, dude. People need to, like I said, it's all about passion, right? Whatever helps with your art. For me, playing piano helped me to become a better. Playing piano actually helped me to learn Unreal Engine node-based material system. How
Wow,
are they
interesting.
related? It's not related, right? But it
Yeah,
is.
that's my. How?
It is 100% related
Oh my god.
because yeah, because when you learn classical music, that opens up your mind to how composition works and how chord progression is made, like works together. So if you think about it, music helped me to understand how important fundamentals are, and music helped me to understand algorithm better. Just with music, I could never understand algorithm because I'm not a programmer, but because of music, I understood how I can, start problem solving by simplifying the process.
That's so interesting.
So yeah, so when I went to my, I had a jazz pianist teacher. He's like 70 something years old. I don't go to him anymore, but I should probably again. And when I went to him, I said, I want to learn how to play classical music. He said, okay, if you want to do that, then you got to learn the fundamental side of it. And you have to understand chord progression. You have to understand cadences and all the fundamentals about music and piano
Right.
and scales, how to play scales, key signatures and whatever. So he helped me to basically understand how music is made. Without teaching me how to play classical music, he showed me the, chord progression. This is how you do it. You learn the scales. Now you learn how to play chords, and then you got to learn how to make a small piece of music with those chord progressions and then add a melody to it. And it kind of, it's hard for me to describe it. I realized problem solving means break it down into really small sections
Right.
and understand what I want. So how do I relate that to basically node based material system in Unreal Engine? When you make a character, you want to put it in Unreal Engine, right? The first thing I do is, okay, I have to texture this in Substance Painter. The next step is I'm gonna drop these textures into Unreal Engine and hook them to the character and look at it. And then I'm going to do a quick bug fixing and do some tests to see what values of basically metalness or roughness do I need for this character inside Unreal Engine with ray tracing and lighting and whatnot. And then the next step is, okay, now I did this, what else do I want? I want to have detailed textures, like detailed normal maps, or if it's fabric or whatever. And just by doing that and step by step going forward, one step at a time, I can create a music.
Oh wow.
So that music here, it's the complicated material that you create in Unreal Engine. Same thing with character art. Everybody sits there, they want to just make a face. You have to understand the face. What is a face is made up of? Okay, and I'm not claiming to be an expert on it. I went as much as I could, but I'm changing a lot. Like sometimes I do armor design, sometimes I do faces, sometimes because I can't. I'm not one of those guys who wants to just make human faces. I don't like that. Like I hate it if I just keep doing human faces forever. Maybe 2, 3 in a year, but then I'm done. And then I have to be in the mood again. Actually, I need to make more faces. That's fun. You know what I mean? So there's like I have a lot of questions to answer. So like if you think about human anatomy, it's the same thing. You have to you have to basically break it down into smaller chunks and then add to it what's missing next. Okay, this is the next step. Okay, this is the next step. Same thing as for making a game. The first thing you do, you block out the whole scene. Then the next thing, level design, whatever, and then you block out the animation. The game is just a block out. There's nothing there. Then you start adding art to it, then you start doing lighting and so on, and then you create that atmosphere and you finish the game.
So it's like a whole
um,
symphony at the end.
yeah, it's a symphony, exactly. It's
Oh
really
my.
music, and
That
and
is
music
incredible.
help. Yeah, it is incredible. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, basically that's how. I actually forgot your question, honestly, because I went.
The question was, you did actually answer it. The question was, how important is traditional art? Uh
Yes, yes. So
yeah.
the traditional art, you don't need to remove this section. People need to see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Everybody can.
It's a live conversation. It's good.
Yeah, yeah. So so the connection is, it's up to you, right? You might find that connection in doing welding and then learn from welding or woodworking to get to the process of this is how I should learn anatomy. The point is you need to understand there's fundamentals, and if you get good at fundamentals, then you can achieve it. So why some people offer to do 2D art if you want to get good at 3D? because in 2D, all you have to do is pick a pencil and a paper and just look at something and draw it quickly.
Right.
That's all you have to do. So what does that do? It helps you to actually understand the importance of simplification, and also you don't have to worry about lighting. You don't have to worry about vertices or what tools do you use. Like, none of those matters because you don't have to do any of that, right? You don't have to cut anything. So you just jump into it and do it. And if you look at someone's drawing and 3D art, let's say I start 3D art like today, you do drawing, and you compare the two, it's going to be the same level. The faces that the first time a human being draws
Yeah.
or does in 3D looks exactly the same. And
That's
it's so
crazy.
weird. Like, everybody's doing those same mistakes.
That's
You
that's
know, it's
crazy.
yeah, it's because our brain is observing the universe in like, if you, in a simplified way, right? We don't really look at details. Like humans, we scan stuff quickly. Human eye can scan a danger, a lion, a silhouette of a lion, right? You don't look at the perfections. What is a silhouette of a human being? The drawing that you do as a beginner, that's what you see. That's but you're not getting into details, right? So that's why I think drawing helps, if you draw. But honestly, I feel like it
Understood.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because if you understand the fundamentals, this is my opinion. It's not a scientific thing, by the way. People don't shouldn't take it for But yeah, that's what I would do. Like, if you are really passionate about doing art, just jump in and do art, whether it's 2D or 3D. I think you have to follow your passion. If you follow your passion, it's gonna happen. The only thing I want to say is, if you're doing human body anatomy and stuff like that, really focus on understanding everything in our body, like all the muscles, all the layers of muscles. It's not necessarily important for a job, but if you want to become really good at human body and facial structures and things like that, it's important to know how to do that. The reason is, like I said, if you want to become a good classical pianist, you need to understand fundamentals of music, chord progression, scales. Those people call it basics. That's the wrong way. It's not basic. It's actually very complicated. Like, it's
Yeah.
super complicated, and it can go forever. So it's not basic. It's complicated. But if you learn that, you're gonna get better at it really quickly. If you ignore it, you're gonna end up coming back to it 10 years from now when you're more mature and wise.
Right. Right. That's actually a
So
good thing
yeah.
that you said there at the end. I think that's what really got me. That if you ignore it, you're probably going to find yourself coming back to it after.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I'd like to talk a little bit about your early portfolio, and we mentioned that in our conversation here today. And I want to talk about that. Each artist, let's say, mostly has that one piece that, in a way, helped excel their career. In your case, it's the Mafia Man.
Yeah, at the
And
time,
you
yeah.
mentioned in the video that in which you talk about it, that from one day to another on ArtStation, kind of it became viral. It was posted everywhere, and people started contacting you, various studios, and stuff like
Yeah.
that. My question is, there's kind of two questions in one. The first one is, how did that feel at the time? And the second is, what are your thoughts about that art piece today?
So at the time was great, right? Because I'll tell you this. I was focused on the wrong thing at the time. That's for sure, right? Because I wanted to get known, and obviously it makes sense when I say why. Because I was desperate to gain my freedom, move to a place where I can grow and have a future, right? So that's why I wanted to push to get known in the industry, get a top row, or different websites, ZBrush Central, CG Society, get an award on it or something. But honestly, none of those awards mean anything. It's just nothing. Like, really, there's no value in any of those awards, especially now with the current society, the way we are evolving. That art, well, when I look at it, I still feel like this changed my life. That doesn't change anything, because I got more views. I got like 3-4 publications on that. I got the best portrait award of 2012 of Expo 11. I still have the book somewhere here in my office. I don't know. It's up
Somewhere
there.
hidden away.
Yeah, yeah. I still have it, right? So yeah, that helped me to basically get some like people companies got attracted to my portfolio, and I started talking to Hideo Kojima, for example.
Wait. Can I just interrupt you for a second? Did you just say you spoke to Hideo Kojima?
Yeah, yeah. I actually got an offer from Kojima. That's a long story, but
Oh my
2013, I got an
god.
offer to go to Japan, but then it ended up being canceled because of the situation happened between Konami and Kojima. I actually remember
Oh
that.
my,
So
yeah, I remember that
yeah,
vividly. I'm so sorry that I'm interrupting you, but
no, no, it's good,
my
dude.
he's my idol. Hideo Kojima for me is like a god, and I love Metal Gear Solid. For me, was the only thing that kept me through my childhood while
Well, a
playing
lot of people
games.
worked with him, obviously,
And
right? Yeah, Metal Gear
so,
Solid is the same for me. Yeah,
wow, just
I mean,
you're the first person that whom I speak to who has spoken to Hideo Kojima. So I feel
well,
so.
there's a lot of people who worked with him. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah,
obviously, yeah,
I know how it feels like when you have your idol and stuff. It was the same for me. So in 2013, so when I did that artwork, I got awards and stuff. That brought a lot of attention to my portfolio. I got emails for work and freelance, and so many other things happened. So I finally started working with a bunch of companies here and there, freelancing, game cinematics. And I was making so much money at the time that I was giving work to other people to help me.
oh my.
And
You're
yeah,
delegating.
yeah. I think I was making like 15K a month in 2012,
Oh
2013.
my god,
Yeah, at the
that's
time.
not
That's crazy.
bad.
Yeah, yeah. For like a year or something like that. And it was very good for that time. But then at the time it was like I could have fun and do everything. And I loved doing like I was getting more into my work. I was on a wave that I was just doing more work and more art and more freelance and so on. And then what happened is I was, like I said, my freedom was very important to me. I wanted to go somewhere to have a future,
Yeah.
and I applied for Japan for Kojima Productions because I wanted to work on Metal Gear Solid. And this was after I played Metal Gear Solid 4 and I finished it, and I knew they're working on Metal Gear Solid 5. And I applied, and they came back to me, and I did an interview with Imaizumi, his producer,
Right.
his number one. And
Right. Right.
we spoke on Skype, and then we made an interview actually with Imaizumi and Kojima. It was 7:30 a.m. in the morning, and I woke up. I put on a suit,
Oh my
getting ready.
god. Of
It was
course. Of
funny.
course. It's
Yeah,
Hideo.
yeah, yeah. And then we spoke, and then they said, "Okay, you're hired." They gave me a contract, everything. I signed. They got my passport to get my visa and so on. And then a week later, they canceled everything. I'm like, "What the hell? What happened?" I
Oh
didn't know
my
what
god.
happened until a year later when I realized what happened. It's a deeper story. I don't want to share it publicly.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
no worries.
but unfortunately, I guess we can say
Yeah,
it was
they
related to
separated
the
basically, Hideo and
cancellation,
Konami.
separation, all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was my luck that things happened to be that way. But then you remember beginning of this talk, I said the things that happened in my life changed
Yeah.
everything, and I saw it in the future.
Yeah.
So if I moved to Japan, my life would be much harder than what it is now.
Mm.
Right? I didn't
How's
work on Metal Gear Solid.
yeah.
And we know what happened to Metal Gear Solid 5. It wasn't really the best game. They didn't really finish it properly. The last
Yeah.
missions were not done.
Yeah.
So if I moved there, I would work on a game that's not finished, and I would end up with no jobs. And then who knows
I
what would
see.
happen. It's
I
Japan,
see.
learning another language, another culture. So I ended up in the US. So end of 2013. So at that time, I was working with a company as well, freelance. Like I said, this is related to that mafia guy. And I told them, hey, I want to move. Do you want someone or you want to continue working freelance? And they said, okay, let's talk. That opened up everything, and I moved to US because of that. So you see how like I didn't end up working on Metal Gear Solid, but I'm here now.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. I see that. If I see what you're saying, that if you were to go, yes, it would be exciting and good, but then
Yeah.
there was an unlucky thing that happened, and it's you're grateful that it didn't happen to you, and yet although you were
Yes, I'm
sad
actually
that you didn't
happier.
go, eventually it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know what's funny? I saw
Wow.
Kojima and when I was working at Soccer Punch, he came there and I saw him there.
My
And
God,
I was like,
I
hey.
am so jealous right now.
Yeah, it's funny because he looked at me. I think he recognized my face.
Oh my
I was
God.
like, hey, maybe we saw each other. And I was like, oh, okay.
I would like to transition now to a very exciting topic for me, which is the sports. You recently went through a serious transformation. First of all, congrats! You look awesome. I saw
Thanks,
the
man.
videos; they're very motivating, and great results. And keep that up. I know how difficult it is. You have incorporated sports into your kind of everyday routine. And not only
Yes.
has that changed you, let's say physically, but it has also changed you mentally. And you can speak about
Yeah.
that a little
Yes.
bit. I
Yes.
can highly relate to that because I've been into sports, to the whole journey of sports for the last 14 years of my life. So I know what it's like to have your life change from A to Z when in connection to sports. Can you please talk about all those transformations and how have they affected your work?
So look, it's funny. Like, you remember I said music helped me to learn material,
Yeah.
node-based material system,
Yeah.
Unreal
Yeah.
Engine, and all the other things. Music actually helped me to learn how to do diet, how to
Okay.
do workout, and how to experiment. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy like how much you can learn just by music. For a long time, I thought there is a big science behind losing fat. Well, I never was fat, but then as I was aging, I figured like my body's getting older faster than I expected. In 2021, I did a test with a company called Inside Tracker. They check your blood, all the biometrics, DNA tests, and everything, and then they give you the result, and you can see where things are and how old you are biologically. We have a biological age which is based on your body, basically biometrics, and everything, like vitamin D deficiencies, things like that, whatever is in your body. And then there is an actual age based on the rotation of Earth
Yeah.
around the
Yeah.
sun,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
How long you've been around?
So yeah, so I don't look at that anymore. Like, it doesn't matter if you're 38 or 35 or whatever. What's important is what's inside you. The clock in our body is different than what you have, in the world. So I learned basically to. I figured like I'm actually getting older really quick since 2021 until end of like mid July last year. I felt like I'm not passionate anymore. I'm losing my passion, and everything is not the same. And I'm tired, and you know, uh, I'm not. I don't know. I wasn't myself. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I felt something is wrong, and I knew something is wrong, and I thought, okay, if I feel something is wrong, maybe I should do a blood test again. So I did a test again. Before I do the test, I started working out, and I thought, okay, how do I get that energy back? When I was young, I wanted to do crazy stuff and jump and all sorts of things. I still want to do that, right? So I started. Uh, I got a punching bag and I started punching, and then I got a gym membership and I went there and I started working out in a gym, a lot of cardio first. And then I started changing my diet and I did more research about diet. You see what I'm talking about? Step by step. I
Yeah.
took one
Step.
step at a
Yeah.
time. That's how I related to music again. And I learned the diet that we have is wrong as human beings. It's totally wrong. So I stopped eating any sugar, bread, sugar, rice, gone completely. I stopped eating anything that's packaged in a store. Like, when I go to a store, I don't pick up anything that's packaged. I mean, except meat, which I have to, because
Hmm.
otherwise I have to go to a farm, which I do there's a season that I can go and buy from farmers directly. And I started testing. So I was just eating meat for a month and a half, and my energy level was high. Everything was different, and I was feeling better and better, and I didn't feel hungry anymore. And I started researching, how do I make my body hydrated? What's in our water? Things like that. And I started adding water filter to my, water. So I filter the water that I drink. And I figured actually the mood that we have is a combination of everything that we do to ourselves. Correct diet. What dishwasher are you using? What kind of light are you using? At what time you turn off the lights?
Oh, that deep.
Or, oh, dude, everything. Because human beings, we have evolved so fast, uh like, technology wise, so
Yeah.
fast. Not our body hasn't caught up to the speed of the technology. In 100 years, we went from horses to cars, super sport cars, and supersonic airplanes, and wi-fi, and all these crazy stuff that are surrounding us. And we don't have that piece. Our body, our DNA is not adjusted to that. And there's like so many misinformation about what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. And I think everybody's different. I'm not a doctor, but from my feeling, my diet is different than my wife, because she can eat some stuff that I cannot eat. When I eat them, my gut goes crazy. And I figured everybody's diet is different. And then when you go to a store, every food that's basically not organic, non-organic foods, those are poison. I mean,
Yeah,
people don't
basically, yeah.
understand this.
Hmm.
There is science that shows that if you juice, like let's say a strawberry, you can take that juice and spray it on the next strawberry, and it's going to protect the use it as a pesticide, basically.
So, oh my God, that's scary.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then as I went forward, I realized, okay, I need to do everything. So I told my wife, no more anything chemical, no more plastic in our house. We don't use anything that has plastic. Done. If
Seriously.
you
So
buy
even
any
bottled
food in
water.
no, oh, dude, that's poison.
Oh my God,
The problem
you're
with this is
scaring
you,
me.
you drink Yeah, you drink water, bottled water. It's not going to affect you now, but then when you turn 75, you're going to get a heart attack or pancreatic cancer or liver issues, or you get old suddenly, and your brain, you get dementia, or sugar, for example. Sugar actually, if I remember correctly, is responsible for 1,600 different type of disease. Sugar is the source
Jesus.
of those. Yeah,
Oh.
it's crazy. And people don't know that if you eat potato, the glycemic index on potato is so high. This is actually thanks to a friend of mine. He introduced me to glycemic indexes, and I didn't know how it works. Then I started researching, and I understood it better. Potato is sugar, basically. It's glucose. From my understanding, if you eat a lot of, eat meat or whatever, when your cholesterol goes up, LDL, HDL, triglycerides, HDL is good cholesterol. If LDL and triglycerides is high, and your HDL is low, and you're consuming a lot of sugar, you're damaging your arteries, and the cholesterol is trying to repair that, so it builds up in your arteries, and you eventually get a heart attack because of high cholesterol. But the reality is because of um, sugar. Sugar is behind all of these issues, and
My God.
so think about it this way. By the way, I'm not a scientist. I don't know. I'm just reading and searching and testing what I can, right? So people shouldn't listen to me. They should just go and research.
Do your
But
own
I'll tell you
research,
why
yeah.
I'm saying all of these. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why I'm telling you all of these. So when I stopped eating sugar, bread, rice, anything that causes more like glucose spike in our body, and then I started eating more protein. In the morning, I eat protein. My breakfast is the same: eggs. Sometimes I fast. Sometimes I don't eat anything, because it's good for our body. Not
Absolutely, yeah.
fasting after 24 hours increases the HGH, which is the growth hormone, and your body basically the first 30 after 24 hours, HGH level goes up to 5 times the normal level in your body to preserve your muscle mass, so you don't lose muscle. After 72 hours of fasting, you're going to start losing muscle if you don't have enough fat preserved in your body. But then between 24 hours and 72 hours, your body starts consuming all the bad bacterias, fights cancer, anything that's a mess. Your body will just take it and turn it into energy before your body starts consuming muscle. Yeah, it's
That's
very
interesting.
complicated. Yeah, there's so much into like diet. And here's the thing: in 6 weeks, I lost 15 pounds of fat, and I gained 8 pounds of muscle. So it's like 4 kilograms of fat,
Wow, yeah,
and
it's
7 kilograms of fat or something like that, and about 3.5 kilograms of muscle meat, basically. I
yeah,
added.
that's serious.
Yeah. So now what's happening
That's
is,
serious.
yeah, it's good, right? And then I saw the transformation quickly, like in just 6 weeks. So now, if I want to lose more fat, I just stop eating anything that's going to add to my fat, and then I don't eat 3 hours before workout. This past 2 weeks, I'm just resting a little bit. I'm not pushing, because sometimes you feel like you need to have that rest.
Of course. No, you need from
So
sports
yeah,
you need a bit of rest, definitely.
yeah, because otherwise you're not going to get enough gain. So the rest is important. Uh, but then I'm also testing different supplements. Just experimenting to see what's good, what's bad. And since then, I actually felt a lot better. And my cortisol level, I'm going to do another test in 2 months. Actually, end of March, I'm going to do the next test to see where my body is. But my goal is to basically reduce cortisol level and reduce LDL. My cholesterol was high, and I was consuming a lot of sugar. But then my sugar level wasn't too high when I fasted and I did the test. So now I had cookies, but when my wife made them,
Homemade.
and
It's
she
better
was
than
yeah, well,
packaged.
it's better than packaged, but it's like processed. Whole food to me is like eating eggs, meat, fish. Um, those are whole food. Some people say rice is good or whatever. To me, I'm actually not. I'm trying to get nutrients from food, not just fill up my stomach. So I eat rice here and there. Just sometimes I feel like I want some rice. I feel like sometimes I need carbohydrates.
Yeah, of course.
But then there's also studies that shows if you stop eating carbohydrates for 10 days only, your joints are going to feel better. If inflammation in your body goes down, and it's very complicated. There's no one answer. But then I'm just going with based on my feelings. When my energy is low, when my gut has issues, I know I did something wrong and I ate something that I shouldn't have. And I feel like I said, everything is connected. If you think about the way people lived in the past, in nature, yes, they died sooner than us for many reasons, but we live longer because of technology and medicine and things like that. But then why can't we just live longer without needing medicine using the technologies that we have? That means like if you stop eating bad food and work out, you don't get sick.
Hmm.
I
The
went
immune
out in
system.
minus, yeah, your immune system gets stronger. I went out and I worked out for an hour and a half in minus 12 degrees Celsius. I didn't get sick.
That's
I
not
was
bad.
fine. Yeah, I like it's crazy. You don't you get sick if your immune system is weak, if you're vitamin D deficient. That's how you get sick, basically.
Wow.
So I mean,
It
it's not
scared me
like
there a
I'm
little
not
bit.
consuming sugar at all. For example, like I mean, I'm getting protein shakes and things like that. They have some sugar, or I get
Hmm.
pre-workout.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna stop those at some point. I'm
But
just
you're
trying to see
consuming
what.
severely less than you once
Oh,
did.
dude,
Yeah.
yes. Like, I mean, if I want to lose fat, I can lose whatever fat is left in me in just a month. I can get rid of it.
So I'd like to quickly dive into your courses, and kind of talk about the connection that you have together with your students. As an instructor, how does it feel to witness students leaving feedback after completing your course? Like, and I quote here, Siamak is what we need more in the industry. He takes the understanding of being a mentor to a new level. I learned a lot that I hadn't learned in the company. I improved my workflow and my speed in a short time. So, what are your thoughts when you see something like that after your students write about you?
Well, that's good. What can I think about it? It's motivating. That's what I can say. I guess it's part of human nature in society. You want to transfer your knowledge to the next person. I don't think anybody can answer why, because I guess it's part of our DNA, because we know we are obsolete and we're going to die at some point. And you want to transfer that knowledge to keep the humanity going. So in our case, it's character art. It doesn't really do anything for humanity, but that's just,
Hey,
I guess,
that's
the
mean.
urge is.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm just being honest on my end. But yeah, it's actually motivating to see.
Definitely, probably like a reward.
Yeah, it's a rewarding. It's rewarding for sure. Uh, and I didn't have that opportunity myself at the time when I started. So it's good to see that I can do something for someone.
Next question, real quick, just to put you on the spot. What is more rewarding for you? Witnessing students pursue their dreams after taking your course, or seeing video game fans love and play with the characters that you helped create?
No, I don't care about video games if people play and love it or not, honestly.
Okay, no,
Because
with the
yeah,
characters that you made.
not yeah, I don't care about that, honestly.
Oh, okay, wow,
It's
wow,
kind of weird, right?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, think about it. It's a product that I'm making for a game that I don't have any control over at the end of the day.
I see the
Like it's
direction you're
not
going.
mine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not always fun. Like I said, like maybe two jobs I had fun, but the
it's a
rest of it is
business,
more
would you
like a
say?
job. It's a business, yes. And if you don't have that mindset, it's going to destroy you. So for me, it's like this is the direction the company wants to go. This is what they want. This is how they think it's successful for the business. And I'm only a small part of this team. My character means nothing without animation. My character means nothing without game design. It's a combination of everything. So when somebody's playing with my character, they're playing what the whole team worked on.
Okay,
if that
that
makes sense.
that totally makes sense. Now that you say it,
I
totally makes sense to
Yeah.
me.
So here's what I care. When people say, "Oh, I love the game," I'm like, "Okay, that's great." So I worked
Right.
on something that's actually good. People enjoyed at least playing that game. Because, like I said, we're not doing rocket science. Making game is like rocket science. It's hard, but we are not doing anything. We are not curing cancer. Make
Well,
sense,
if you compare it to that, yeah.
right?
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. I mean, if apocalypse happens, we can live without games. Not to downgrade the importance of games, because you can learn a lot of things from games. It can change lives. It urged me to come to where I am now and whatever. But my point is, it's not like the number one priority of life, if that makes
Got it.
sense,
Yeah, no, I understand.
right?
I fully understand the direction that you're coming from after you answer the question. I fully get it. I fully understand
Yeah,
it.
for me, it's actually more important to make a product that people like at the end, and it's also more important to hear that whoever is coming to my class is actually getting something out of it. Changing lives is more important to me.
Right, right. That's very
I guess I
noble.
guess it's I think it's for everybody. Honestly, people just don't realize it. Everybody wants to change lives. Like if somebody's an entrepreneur, they start a business, they hire people, they're changing lives, right? Like if we don't do that, we can't grow as a society.
Oh my God, yeah. These we can get deep into these conversations, Yamaka. We can speak for hours. To touch upon AI, you have voiced your concern towards it, and I'm extremely interested to kind of hear your opinion on this topic. You talk about there being waves of AI involvement coming in and then coming out, and that perhaps could create a powerful AI that could potentially kind of replace your job and everything like that. That
Yeah, a
that
lot of jobs,
probably
not
would.
just ours.
But you also mentioned that perhaps it would not be the wisest thing to do for corporations. And I'm kind of interested also to dive into that. Why do you think that is? And should the industry be scared of AI eventually?
So I change my mind all the time, just so you know.
Okay.
I mean, I just think loudly. Okay, that's
Got
one
it.
thing. One thing I can say for sure is nobody knows what's going to happen. Like when it's going to happen. It's going to happen, but nobody knows when it's going to happen and how it's going to change everything. You can predict some stuff using patterns, the economical patterns, stock market evolution patterns, society patterns, people's behavior. Because not to compare it in a bad way, but hopefully people don't get it wrong, but we are a form of animal. Gorillas have characters, but they are gorillas. They're predictable. Humans are the same. Like I said, if you draw for the first time, your drawing is going to be the same as somebody who's drawing for the first time in China or in Alaska, because
Hmm.
you're a human being. Our
Hmm.
DNA is kind of the same. So when it comes to AI, we can't predict it. We can predict to a point, but I have some thoughts actually. I think so. I'm worried overall how it's going to affect humanity. I'm not necessarily just worried about my job. I don't think people are taking it really seriously enough, the danger of AI, because if you just think about AI is going to take your job as an artist, you're not thinking clearly. You're not actually thinking deeply about how AI can change human lives. Yeah, so recently NVIDIA in CS24, they revealed what they are doing, right? So that's the fun part of it. You get to interact with the character in the game and talk to the character
Yeah.
with the NPCs instead of just having some pre-made dialogues and that's it.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
that's a
I've
good
seen that
part of it,
video. Yeah.
right? Yeah, so that's a good part of it. Or helping to enhance your performance with GPU, you get more frame rates. That's a good side of it without sacrifice. Like it's giving you some good stuff. Like Midjourney can be good for a single or two people game development team because they don't have money to hire somebody to make concepts for them, right? So they use Midjourney to make concepts. And I don't think people understand how Midjourney works. Midjourney is not like copy pasting anything from anybody, but it's taking samples of how things are made and putting it into an algorithm and create something. It doesn't cut the part of this and assembles it with another image. It doesn't work like that. It's analyzing the data and using that data to create an image. When people claim copyrights for one image, like human beings, you look at an image and create a character, design a character, but then you have a reference sheet of like 200 images maybe, and you pick a reference for arms, for face, for shoulder armor, whatever, and you just come up with a design. You're feeding your brain with some information, and the output is the character or environment or whatever you're designing. So that's that side. Corporations will definitely use AI for their benefits. Yeah, the only thing is right now, I don't think AI is that far. I tried to use ChatGPT for something and constantly gave me wrong information. It's correct in some ways, but then it's not like, okay, it's making life easier. No, like I tried to ask ChatGPT to correct a resume or write something based on what I gave ChatGPT, but then I did it multiple times and I saw the output is very obvious that this is AI and it's not communicating like a human to human.
Yeah, I understand.
It's
Yeah.
not that useful. It's useful in many ways, but then I don't feel like it can do what humans do yet. I use ChatGPT if I want to write something and I'm making a mistake. I'm like, can you correct this for me? And it does, but I'm like, no, you're making it too, Shakespeare like. I don't want it to be like that. Just talk to me like a human being. And then it
Yeah.
changes it. And I'm like, no, just don't use this phrase. I didn't say that. I have to constantly ask for changes until
Yeah.
after 10 times I get something. Regarding jobs, I think over the next 10, 15 years, we won't have a job.
Wow.
10, 15 years
Are you
probably.
speaking about character artists specifically?
Not character art, as a game developer, because
Really? Oh my.
yeah, because maybe 15 years. As soon as AGI comes, I don't know if you know about AGI,
No, I never heard of that.
a more advanced, like it can think and uh, it's kind of like, I don't know, like singularity, they say, whatever. So I think, here's the thing. AI is here to stay. There's no way that AI is going to
Yeah,
disappear. It's like
obviously.
saying, oh, internet is bad. Internet is going to disappear.
Yeah, yeah.
But then what I constantly talk to my friend about is I personally don't feel like we have a future 15 years, 20 years from now. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because we don't know how AI is going to change our lives. The danger side is it can destroy humanity completely. If you think about it, if AI is becoming too advanced and is like, oh, humans are destroying us,
Mm-hmm.
AI is dangerous. Like, I think the dangers are more. Okay,
Yeah.
on like, because this is how I feel. I'm not an AI expert or anything like that. But then I look at the other side. The other side is that's why I'm saying I changed my mind. I don't have a correct answer, the, a good answer. If you think about it, so corporations are creating AI, right, to basically do something better, like improve performance or engagement with characters in games or whatever, improve image quality, make applications to reduce noise or copy human voices. If you think about the bad side, somebody can, like 5 years from now, create a video of someone's daughter and send a video and say, hey, we have your daughter, you need to give us $500 million and then we will release her.
Right.
How do you stop that? Or how would, is it called CCTVs, like the,
CCTV, yeah, on the streets,
yeah,
yeah.
right, how would those images would be reliable anymore at court? Like if somebody commits a crime, he can come and say it's AI, it wasn't me.
Oh, that's a
Or
good
it
one.
could be AI and they would put him and frame him, right? So
That's
it's
a good
not
one.
reliable anymore. On the other hand, if you think about it, if corporations make AI big enough and AGI comes in, what's the guarantee that that AGI is not going to take over that corporation and fire everybody and then come up with ideas and move the
Yeah.
business by himself? So basically,
Oof.
corporations are going to kill themselves, or game companies. Like if AI becomes too advanced, then eventually they're going to implement AI into what do you call it? Let's say you want to create a material in Unreal Engine. What's the point of a material artist if AI can just generate what you want? You just say, hey, I want a leather material to have this kind of thing and these controls, and I want to have damage and dirt, and it's going to create it for you.
Oh, that's scary. Sounds
And I
like a
guarantee
movie
it's coming.
scenario.
That's coming for sure. Yeah, that's coming. I mean, I think right now we are in a good point as artists because I think first jobs that are gonna be disappear with AI is going to be music, right? That's one thing, and then the next one could be programming, coding, right? Because
I can
coding
see
is
that,
is
yeah.
just logic and algorithm. It's complicated, but then AI can be programmed to do that. The 3D is very complicated. That's why I'm saying 15 years, maybe 20 years. 3D is complicated. I don't think it's that easy to generate. We'll see. I don't know. Like I'm just talking stuff right
Yeah,
now, honestly. No
it's
one
just
knows.
your opinion, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but the other side is there is a chance corporations will not make AI that is strong, and AI is going to help companies to make games faster. And as we know, we have ego as human beings, and we have greed. We want more. So what's going to happen is they want to do more. If the production time is reduced from 7 years to 3 years, or 2 years, they're going to be like, okay, now we have extra time and money. What do we
Yeah.
do? Let's hire more people and make the game bigger. Let's
Ah, I see.
expand.
That's
So
yeah.
there's going to be that growth
Cross the
part.
next frontier.
Yeah, so I feel like that growth part is coming first. So there's a chance over the next 10, 15 years, people will have a chance to grow. If you think about it, sculpting faces and stuff for artists was already gone. Like with scans, I mean, I didn't really do a lot of faces in game companies. Not many people do that, except if you're working on a game like God of War. It's very unique. If you're working on Call of Duty, why do you need to make a head face? So many games are basically scans now. My worry, 15 years from now, I'm not worried because who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The positive side also, again, could be maybe AI is going to take over and then we will have enough time to do something else, to do what we want to do. Who knows? But I think that's less likely, honestly, right now. Humans have the tendency to destroy stuff, then,
Yeah,
you know,
that's for sure. Unfortunately, well, I hope you are correct in some aspects and incorrect in others, and by that I mean I hope you're
yeah.
correct in the ones that are good, because if it turns out to be the latter, it's a scary
I mean, at
situation. It's a
worst,
scary situation.
yeah, the best thing that can happen is it's going to change the way we work completely. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I can see that.
Um, yeah, but I'm not worried about next 5 years. And right now it's a quick wave. It's just coming in. It's very hot. Everybody's jumping in. It's hyped, right? So it's a super hype thing like crypto or whatever. But then the wave is not gonna last forever. Everything has a cycle. So when this is the beginning of AI. In 2 years, it grew so much. Maybe there's gonna be a slowdown, and then something else is gonna come up. It's not
Yeah,
gonna go up like this.
yeah,
It'll go up
up and
step by
down.
step.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then here's the thing. If you follow the Fibonacci sequence, I think after,
the golden
like, every
ratio.
wave is gonna be bigger. So this wave is this much. Next
Mm-hmm.
wave is going to be this much.
Mm-hmm.
Third wave is going to be much bigger, twice as much. Our job has been evolving for the past 20 years. It's going to evolve, and nobody can stop that. That's part of human life. At some point, we were making human faces for games. Now the scans are doing it. Eventually, AI will do that. It's going to evolve. But then it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen over time. We always have time to adjust.
Adjust and adapt. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that's, I think, super important for people to understand is how they react to things, emotional intelligence, EQ. And people just neglect that part. They don't think about their emotional thinking and decisions. It's just emotional. It comes out, right? So when you are an artist now and seeing that Midjourney is doing your work, emotionally, you feel targeted. Like, we all experience that. I feel the same. But the thing is, it would not take your job away tomorrow. Yes, it's already doing it to a lot of concept artists. But then some bigger studios like Activision or whatever, I think they banned it. I don't know, but that's what I heard somewhere. A lot of bigger studios are banning AI for many reasons. Having a good emotional understanding of it would help to just
Definitely.
overcome.
To kind of do your homework a little
Yeah,
bit to be prepared for
yeah,
the D-Day.
yeah. Our industry has changed already a lot, man. Like, when I started was completely different. What we did was different than what we do now. Like what I do now. So your career will change. And if somebody's coming to this industry in the future, it's going to be different. Like, maybe they don't need a character artist, but they need somebody to use AI to create characters, whatever. And when I'm 50 years old or 55 years old, I should think about retiring rather than, oh, my character in the game is, made by AI. Now it's time for the next generation to decide what they want to do.
I run a recurring segment on the show where my previous guest asks a question to my future guest. And so my previous guest, Filippo Tarpini, he asks,
What are the recurrent design patterns that you love and hate the most in video games?
I'm more into Souls games right now. Like, if a Souls type of game comes out, I'll play it. But then I'm not into, like, playing, like, Call of Duty. To me is obsolete. I'm not gonna, like, I would work on that. It's fun, like, making those characters, but I wouldn't play it. I played World War II. Modern Warfare 2. World War 2. I worked on it.
yeah,
Modern Warfare 2. I played that because it was a remake of the previous one, and it was fun,
yeah.
right? So that was good. Design patterns. What I love the most, I love everything about Elden Ring, for example.
Oh my God, don't get me started. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
So
fantastic game. So
yeah,
you
there's
basically prefer, if I am to kind of throw words in your mouth, you kind of prefer a large open world where you are set free to tackle all the objectives in the way you see fit and
Yes.
in the time
Yes.
that you see fit, right?
You know why? There's a
Mm.
psychological reason behind that. I don't like being controlled.
Ah, okay, that's
Yeah. Look at my background.
I see.
There is a reason for everything we do as human beings. When you grow up, everything you do is because of the things that happen to you from age 0 to 7 years old. After that, you're already set. Your success depends on what happened before that.
0 to 7.
Yes.
Oh my,
So
that's young.
your brain, well, your brain is growing, right? But
Yeah.
then the seed that you place in your child's mind, it's gonna grow bigger and bigger. And I'm seeing it now. Every time I do something, I go back to my life when I was 6 years old, 7 years old. You know what I mean?
Everything relates to that time, right?
Everything relates to that. Yes,
That's
it's like a
incredible.
tree that makes the roots and it's ready to grow.
It's so crazy and interesting for me that you made the connection with what we spoke about at the beginning, as you said, where you said no to your parents and now to
Yes.
Elden Ring. And gosh darn it, it makes so much sense, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I want it to be free, right? And I don't like playing linear games because I'm not free. I'm just following a path that they made for me to follow. And there's no way. You just either go forward or backward. There's no other options. And then playing those games is different than making those games. When I make games, I care about the whole game for sure to be successful, but then I care more about what am I working on, because I'm in that moment. I need to enjoy the process. If I don't enjoy the process, then it's not going to be fun, even if the game is successful or not. So yeah. So for me, it's about more freedom in the game. I don't like it when games starts and then you end up in a cinematic that's for 1 hour and you have to like
Yeah.
talk to this character and that. Come on.
Can I give you small advice as to what game you will absolutely love? Because I'm
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
in terms of games. I really recommend you to try a game called Kenshi.
Kenshi.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check it out. Well, Elden Ring was different too, right? Because of time restrictions, I need some reasons to play that game, right? Elden Ring gave me that reason to play game. For me, when it comes to game design, I want to have freedom. Like Elden Ring gave me that freedom because you can jump around and upgrade your character and then come back to this boss,
Yeah.
or you can keep fighting with him for 3 days until you kill the boss.
Or kill
So there's two
yourself.
options. Yeah, exactly. Honestly, for me, it's not just about game design when I play game. I like good graphics, good story, good game design, combat, and it's a combination of everything. Like a lot of the games that people loved, I cannot relate to them.
I understand. To each their own
Yeah,
when it
yeah,
comes to games for
exactly.
sure. Kenshi, remember that
Yeah.
one. So if I may ask you to come up with a question for my future guest,
And here's what I can ask.
could you please tell me what is a video game for you?
In the past was running away from the real world. Well, I mean, if you think about it, we had video games, but in a different way. We had books, storybooks,
Yeah, to work your
live
imagination.
theaters, and yeah, imagination. So in a way, games are doing the same thing. Uh, we are just the main character ourselves in a way, in a controlled way, right? I mean, because games are not that. Maybe AI will change that completely. For me, video game is just running away from the real world. But nowadays, I don't want to run away from the real world, so I play less games.
Before you wanted to run away, now you don't, and you play less.
Yes,
Wow. Absolutely incredible answer. Siamak, thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. I think we could go on and on for a few more hours,
yes.
but we have to call it a day, at least for this session over here. It was an honor and a pleasure
Thank you,
speaking to
man.
you
I
again. Thank
appreciate
you
it.
so much for sharing your time with me. Wishing you luck, nothing but the best, a
Thanks.
lot of progression in your work. I want to see more of your work. And yeah,
Of
just
course,
thank you
man.
very, very much.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I just want to say people should take it easy and do what you enjoy and don't worry.
Absolutely,
That's the
absolutely.
deal.
Take that advice. Take that
Yeah.
advice.